Hi, hello.
Hello?
Is this James? Is this James?
Yes, this is he.
Hey James, this is Tiny Bryson. Just want you to know this call is gonna be recorded and potentially uploaded to YouTube. I can help.
I'm sorry, my bad, big dog. I was transferring you into my car. Say that one more time.
This is Tommy Bryson. How can I help you, bro?
Oh, what's up, Tommy? Yeah, I had a few questions about the business I was starting. So I'm actually starting a money lending business, and I ran across your video because I wanted to see, what exactly I need and everything to get started, which I've already taken initiative. I filed with InkFile about 2 weeks ago, and they're finishing that up now. And I just bought the domain, email, and etc. And now I just got to work on the website. But I had some questions regarding how to go about it, because what I wanted to do is, like, you know how most people, when they want to go on vacation, they gotta like save up to go on
Mm-hmm.
vacation. Well, in this case, they can just lend money from me to go on vacation, and then over a year span, that money that they will usually be saving up to go on vacation, they'll just be paying me within the year span.
Okay. So the first thing is basically, it sounds like I want to start a money lending business, but I want to use the brand of vacations to basically find my clients. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now the big thing is basically, did you file like the LLC stuff that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, that's not the only thing. There's also permits and licenses. So you need to find out what license and permits are required for you to actually go out there and lend money in your state legally.
I did that also. I did that through InkFile. It was an extra $100, and what they do is they hire lawyers to find all the permits that I need, and they're gonna, long story short, send that to me as soon as everything's done processed. And I had to pay $100. I see, and I noticed you pointed that out in the video a lot about basically making sure I do everything legally. So I paid $100 to get all the licenses, applications, and
Mm-hmm.
everything needed sent to me in order to get it up and running legally.
It sounds like though what you paid for was information on what you need, not on
Correct.
the actual file, because you don't know the filing costs or the requirements yet, right?
Correct.
So once you find out what the requirements are, then you can go ahead and start this up. The big problem is basically we start marketing yourself, start having customers and all that stuff. If legally you have a problem with that, you might be in trouble, right? But let's just assume, for example, for right now, that you get the permits correct. And I think in New York, the big problem was basically you needed someone with at least like I think it was 5 to 7 years worth of banking experience to actually go ahead and basically start lending money, and you also needed to make sure you actually lend at the proper rate and everything else like that. So it's kind of like a very complicated thing to actually get, but if you do get it, then congratulations, right? But the big issue
Right.
would be the first thing is, okay, you got to know your market. Who's your market? People that are impatient, that want to go on vacation, they don't got the money, so they want to go on vacation, so they want to borrow money from you. The first thing is usually those people that you say, oh, they spend money, like saving up and all stuff. Usually people don't save up money to go on vacation. They use a credit card or they just borrow money and then they go on vacation. That's what they do, right? So in your case, you'll be getting these people that want to borrow money from you, and the idea is making sure they can actually pay you. Now, do you have any idea about how you'll be able to make sure these people can actually pay you back? Like, how do you qualify these people?
Yes, and I actually when it thought about that also. So the way I do that is, for example, in your video, you gave an example of someone with a credit score of at least 650 and make at least I want to say I want to think you said like $10,000 a year or something like that. So mine would be is someone have a job and they show proof of monthly income with statements
Mm-hmm.
from
Pay
their
stubs.
job. Yeah, pay stubs. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, at least a credit score, and that I haven't really necessarily came up with, but I'm also gonna have a credit score, that you'll have to have.
Mm-hmm. What if they don't pay you?
And I thought about that too, and I'm gonna do the route that you told me to do, where obviously it's illegal to harass people and everything. So, but there is a legal way where you can go into people's bank accounts and take the money out legally, and
That's
that's obviously I have to look into it, but that's
that's
the route I'm gonna take.
collections after you get a
Collect.
after you get an order.
Right.
The big problem with this business is that there are okay. All right. If everything goes have you done this by the way?
I am into real estate, and this is a new venture for me. I'm actually a real estate guy.
Have you ever lent money in your whole life?
Yes, but not through paperwork.
Okay. How many people have
Not
you
too
lent money
many.
to?
About roughly five people.
Okay. Did they all go well
Yes,
with their friends and family?
friends. Yes.
Okay. Did it change their relationship?
No, not at all.
Okay, great.
Because
You,
as you say, I also took into consideration. Just because you're my friend doesn't mean anything. I also look at like I look at your past. Like, do you have any? Have I ever had any conflicts with you when it came to
mm-hmm.
money or anything, or know of you having conflicts? So obviously, I was smart with that decision. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
just lend it because you was my friend.
Okay. The first rule of lending money is you don't lend money to friends or family. Because when
Right.
things do go wrong, it will change your relationship. And if things do go right, the Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender, right? And it's true. I've lent money, for example, to friends, and it changes things completely. It's kind of like I lent money to my uncles, and it feels like now I'm their uncle. You know what I mean? So it
Right.
changes everything completely. So if you do get legalized and all this stuff happens, the big idea is going to be not just looking at a credit score or, for example, the pay stubs, but also looking a little bit into that character. When you're small, you can do that. When you get bigger, it's going to be just based on the macros, right? So basically, like the credit score, the pay stubs, and everything else. The big problem, for example, just with looking at credit scores, is that basically, or just like pay stubs, is that someone can have, for example, be making $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, but they could be having a negative cash flow, meaning they do make that money, but they also have a bunch of bills and they can't afford to pay you. That's why a detailed credit score or a detailed credit check is going to be so important. That way you can see exactly what their debt to income ratio actually is, and from then on, you can kind of get a perspective if they're actually a good potential client or not. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
But if you do this business, man, it sounds like a great idea. It's gonna be marketing because right now people want to go on vacation, they just use a credit card. That's it. And you're probably gonna have to give them something, which basically means like a little cost to actually get started. Maybe like, hey, with no interest for the first 3 months, right, on this amount of money that you actually borrow.
I've
But
actually
then go ahead.
I've actually thought about that. I think I've honestly got around to a lot of stuff, and I've also got around to that part also. So my thought process with that is, um, what I was going to do is, like for instance, I'm just going to throw a number out. If I do, obviously you have to pay me back within a year span. If I'm doing 12% on the year, if you pay me back within a 6 month span, I'll only do 6%. And little stuff like that. You pay me back within what I said. I got it written down in my notes. I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
3 months. If you pay me back within 3 months, no interest at all added.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like PayPal. PayPal has this thing where if you pay back in 6 months, they don't charge you any interest whatsoever. You don't make it. You don't want to make it too complicated because usually people don't know what you're talking about. Like 6% and 12%, what's the difference? So assume that people
Right.
don't know anything about interest rates because usually they don't. So just make things very simple. If you borrow money, pay back within 3 months, you get to basically walk away without paying interest. Now the big thing is, how much cash do you have on hand for this business?
Um. I actually have the money that I'm going to put towards this venture is roughly about 5,000.
Okay. And okay, so let's see if you've done your research here. How much is the average vacation cost?
The average vacation can cost between 700 and 1,200. I want to say
Okay, so
seven
you want
hundred
to
and
look,
1,200 dollars.
you want to look that up. That way you have like more perspective. So that means you might have, for example, 3 clients, 4 clients, right? Now, if everything goes well, you can make 12% a year, right? If everything goes bad, you can lose money. And it's also the collection costs, right? Because by the way, when you do collect, not crazy, and also like the lawyer fees, also the court fees, all this stuff. But most importantly, if someone doesn't pay you, that's also just a part of doing business, right? So a lot of the times when you see like big companies, like credit card companies, when you don't pay them and they don't want to waste their time, they just basically charge off your account and sell it to collections for like a few pennies on the dollar, right? It's just a part of the game because they do so much volume. In your case, every penny is going to count. Every contract is going to count because that's all you have. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes, it made perfect sense.
So you still do real estate right now?
Yes, I took a year off because of all this COVID and I'm me being in college, and I graduated in December, so I'm
How old are
definitely
you,
gonna pick it
bro?
back up. 21.
Congratulations, man.
Yes, sir. So what I started when I was 17, and what I did was I wholesaled houses, and then
Mm-hmm.
now I'm later on around by the age of 18, 19, I got into flipping houses, and now I'm at the stage now where I want to continue flipping houses. But I graduate in December, so I might as well just wait at this point.
What do you graduate as?
Bachelor's of Science in Health Science, and what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to give my mother a business, and I'm going to be the owner of it. But I wanted to be educated in her field, and what I'm going to do is start a senior living facility for patients, older people, and everything. And my mother already have her own personal business where she just had clients coming in and out. Once we moved off to college, she had a 3-bedroom house to herself, and she moved clients in. Was getting paid $1,400 a week per person that was in there. And then she just moved to Georgia, and now she's going to start it back up again. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a facility for her so that she can operate out of a facility. And me get my Bachelor's of Science is just what?
How are you going to buy it? Like, what job are you going to get to raise the money?
Oh, I already have the money. I don't have to raise any. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy her a ready facility, a facility that's already got are within the guidelines and everything, and basically she's just going to operate out of there, and I'm going to pay monthly at the facility, probably like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like $2,800 a month.
$2,800 a month. How much cash do you have, man?
I would say a lot.
How much? What do you call that? Like, you have 6 figures?
I have 6 figures when it comes to, like, and when you combine everything, assets, credit, everything. Like,
no. Liquid cash.
Are you talking about
things you
hard
actually
cash?
own? Yes.
Things I actually own.
Liquid cash or like assets or anything like that.
I'm knocking on the door of 6 figures with stuff I actually own.
Okay. With cash, things you can actually convert right now into cash. Now, I'm talking about cars.
Correct.
I'm talking about houses or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay, great. Just be patient, man. If you're 21 years old, make sure everything is flowing the way you want it to flow. So when you start this business, if you can do $5,000, you can start small. If everything checks out, it's probably going to be a very expensive business to actually run. If it's even possible to actually run, and you have to think about, for example, like the whole 50 states, 50 different people to deal with and all that stuff. Just make sure everything plays out the way you want it to play out. Be patient. As far as the idea with your mom and everything like that, if it works out, it works out. Again, be very careful when you do business with family members. It can be it can change your relationship forever, you know?
Oh no, with actually, see that now, that's something I'm well educated. This is something the reason me reaching out, because this is something I'm not educated on and that I want to get educated on. That with my mother, that with I'm well educated on that kind of stuff. Like, it's gonna be hard to get past me on something like I'm well educated. It's not
gonna pass you. You know, you sound like a great kid, man. Like, you sound like a great guy. Like, you're very smart. What I'm saying is that if I did a deal with my mom, it's not about getting scammed or finessed. It's about like hurting that relationship, you know, and having that type of relationship actually go through as a family member. What I'm saying is, be careful as far as how you build it in a way where you keep. The biggest thing is make sure like everything goes solid with your mom. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Most likely she's not gonna finesse you.
Most definitely. And this plan been in and making for 4 years, 3.5 years. I graduated in December. This plan been in effect in 3.5 years. We already got it, everything planned down from the top to the bottom to the T. How everything will operate and how everything will be, like, everything. That plan is like in a whole portfolio. Like, it's already in place to be, activated.
Just remember, man, plans are great, but things happen, and things don't always go the way you want them to go. So just make sure you're prepared, even for failure. If it does happen, that you're good to go, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay?
Most definitely. And that's why when I was looking at your video, it mentioned something about starting with another thought. I'm not trying to, which is why I'm only putting roughly $5,000 towards this. I'm not trying to, just jump out there in the water with this thing and just go all in and all out. No, I actually want to start small. Like, I don't care, me personally speaking, I don't care if I have one client for my first year. You see what I'm saying? It's just more so I need to get my feet wet and see how everything operates and runs. And I just bumped my head a few times.
And by the way, you're doing more like, for example, like the trial and error runner here, right? And it's going to cost you money if it goes bad, because you're actually taking on the risk. However, another way to do is basically just work for another company that does exactly what you want what you want to do, right? That's also a way to do it. So if you work for a company that you know out there, get an internship, or for example, work with them directly, and you know exactly how everything works, the whole process, then it could probably be a little more easier. So when you do get started, you just have all the knowledge possible. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So as far as income, what are you gonna do? You just gonna do like the flipping houses thing?
Well, with income, are you talking about me with income in real life, just in general income?
Yeah, like once you graduate.
So I already have roughly four streams of income. I already have four streams of income right now, and when I
Talk about
graduate
that.
in so one, I have a clothing line. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Void. It was in the top 10% of Shopify stores in the first year to be doing good.
Mm-hmm.
My second one is real estate. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't made money from real estate in like 4 months though.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, my third one, I work part at Outback as a server.
You want to close the car? I can't hear you.
You said, oh my bad, hold on 1 second. Okay, and then my third one, I work part time at Outback, and then those are my three. That's three, and the fourth one is an organization I have, which is me partner with some friends.
Okay. Are you gonna use your degree, by the way?
Yes, I am going to use my degree.
What are you gonna do?
So I'm gonna use my degree. Is gonna come and it's going to be used once it's time for retirement. And
What?
my degree, I'm going to use my degree when it's because I also am going to. So I graduate in December, right? Me and my
Mm-hmm.
mom go get the business up and running that January. I'm going back to school from February to December on an accelerate program for air traffic controller, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
so my career that where I'm gonna physically be, like my body is gonna be an air traffic controller,
Okay.
right? Okay. And then all of this other stuff that I'm doing is just passive income to make money while I'm asleep. That's all I'm doing.
Well, the
You
first
see what I'm
thing is
saying?
that the real estate business probably not gonna work because you have to flip houses and you'll be working, right? That's gonna probably go down a little bit. The Outback, you're not
Uh,
gonna be working that job anymore, right?
no, see that this is how real estate works. That you have different avenues of real estate. So me currently, since I'm not doing all of the physical work right now,
Well, wholesaling
so
is physical work.
that's what I'm trying to tell you. There's different avenues. So right now I'm doing wholesaling,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna do that anymore. When I say there's different avenues, I'm gonna start flipping houses and renting them out. And then once I get to when I have like I'm gonna say roughly 2 houses rented, I'm no longer gonna flip. I'm just gonna invest. Like my next investment might be an apartment complex where I pay people to work for me. Build an apartment complex,
Mm-hmm.
rent out. You hire people to do this stuff for you. Right now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it myself, but even right now, I still can hire somebody to do all this stuff for me. But it's money saving if I just do it myself.
To do
So
what for
with
you? You
that
have
being,
real estate right now rented?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You have real estate rented right now?
No, I actually just sold a house 4 months ago. I flipped it and sold it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not renting out right now. But
Mm-hmm.
once I start working and I get a lot of time on my hand where I can't really do too much, like be there in person, that's when I'm going to start, renting houses out and everything. And my goal is
Mm-hmm.
to own multiple apartment complexes.
Okay. Why? How much money do you need to
Because
retire, bro?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How much money do you want to retire with? Like your income per year?
Okay, so honestly, it's not. I don't know. For me, this is a very broad question. So I would say, as long as I have passive income of over $500,000 coming in a year, then I'll retire. I'll probably retire.
Why do you need that much money?
It's not that I need that much money, but it's just the fact of that's where I'm comfortable at. Like that's where I will probably get to that point where I'll be
How
like,
much do you make right now per year?
with everything. And I actually just did I had some of my taxes.
How much do you spend per year?
With how much money do I spend per year? I spend about 70,000 a year. That's it.
Okay. My advice is this, man. You're 21 years old. You have a lot of great ideas. My only thing would just be like, just take it easy, slow down a little bit, and focus on what your end goal actually is and why you want so much money. for me, for example, I might make between $200,000-$300,000 every single year, but I only need, for example, like around like $40,000 a year in passive income to actually be okay. If you have, for example, a paid off house, you have investments, you have a paid off car, then to get to 500K in passive income is either going to take, for example, a massive amount of leverage through real estate or through business or, for example, through the stock market. Just make sure whatever you're doing actually ends up, like, lines up with your overall end goal. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever lived in an apartment complex?
No.
Okay.
Apartment complexes, they're great, man. You know, I'm not saying your ideas are bad or terrible.
I honestly no. What I'm saying, I say that to say, I think if anything, I'm underselling myself at 500,000 because of the avenues that I'm working, such as an apartment complex that makes you millions of dollars a year.
Just remember, man, Warren Buffett became a billionaire at 53. Grant Cardone is working on that now. He's like in his 60s. Like, these things are gonna take time, you know. And just make sure this is actually what you want, right? You're 21 years old. You have a lot of ideas. Just be careful when you over leverage, because your plan contains a lot of leverage with real estate if you actually want to get to that part. Okay? The whole idea is just be careful with everything you're doing and make sure the plan actually lines up. If you're making 500K in passive income, great, awesome. How much do you actually need to actually be okay and justified? That's the idea. If I make $500,000 a year, great. But past 48, I don't need it. You know, to get 500K in income, for example, from the stock market, because I'm very heavy on the stock market. How much money is that? That's 0.04. That's around like $12.5 million I have to have invested. You know, and that's gonna take a while. If I were you, my main goal would be like stay out of debt, be debt free. Save for emergencies, you start investing. Once you buy a home, you pay it off, and you keep investing. Right there, you have financial freedom, right? Because now you have a job you like, for example. And by the way, the job you're picking is a great job. I've heard about it before. It makes around, I think, around like $125,000 a year, isn't it? For air traffic control.
200,000 in Atlanta.
Yeah, so it can make a lot. It can make you a lot. It can make you a lot of money, right? So, which is awesome. But the idea is, it's also like you have to be physically there. But the more money you make, the faster it's going to be to basically become financially free. That comes from owning your home, having passive income coming in from, for example, from your investments and all those things, and not over leveraging. The more leverage you have, in the end, you'll never really be free because you always have all those things riding above you. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, James, you have a lot of great ideas, bro. Just slow down a little bit. The finish line to life is death, so you don't want to rush that. Okay? Enjoy the process. Enjoy the moment.
Got you. When I said my degree might come in after I retire, he was like, "Oh, let me clarify that." So my degree is bachelor's in science.
I can't hear you.
All right. Oh, my bad. Let me come out. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So when I said my degree might come in hand after I retire, you was like, "Huh? How does that make sense?" Or you were trying to make sense of it. So let me make it make sense for it to you. So basically, if you're an air traffic controller, you have to retire early because of the how important it is, and they can't risk it of somebody being of late age. I think you have to not graduate. You have to retire by the age of 51 or 53, one of the two. I think it's 53. And so what I was going to do with my after 53,
so 29 years.
What I was going to do is become a healthcare consultant, which is part-time and it's only if needed. Basically like what you're doing right now, where people, schedule calls and everything, you just consult with them on things, stuff like that. Basically, I'll just be a healthcare consultant, and that's where my degree will come and works, me being a healthcare consultant.
You love that?
Right, correct.
You like it?
Correct.
Have you done it?
No, I haven't done healthcare consulting yet.
So you don't know if you love it yet. Here's my thing, right? If you get the chance to make 150 or 200K, you don't need 21 years to retire at all. You probably do it in 5 or 7. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When you have a lot of ideas and you start to use your income for everything, right? It starts to thin out because you're over leveraging. But if you just use what you're gonna get, which is basically a great job to become debt free, build for emergencies, invest, you pay in cash for a house. At that point, if you have no debt whatsoever, you have a paid off house and you have a great job, if you invest for literally like 3 5 years, you have passive income to take care of yourself and buy whatever you want to buy. Anything beyond that is just extra. So
Let me. My
go
bad.
ahead.
I should have asked you this for. Explain to me what's retired to you. Like, give me an example. Like, what would you consider retired?
Well, retired to me is not what our people like really consider. Retired to me basically means you work because you want to work, and you work what you want to work. So for me, YouTube is my retirement. Working every single day on YouTube. For Warren Buffett, investment is his retirement. Works every single day also. That's retirement to me. Retirement to me is just financial freedom. That's all I'm saying. So if I make $300,000 or 200K or $150,000, that could basically buy me, for example, 4 or 5 properties every single year potentially. But now I also have a ton of debt, right? I'm over leveraging. I could start a few businesses. I could probably get some more loans and stuff like that. But at that point, I'm creating a lot of leverage when I don't actually have to. With an income as high as you're probably gonna have in the future, if you finish out, which if God wills you will, or with my income for as long as it lasts, the idea is once you get to a certain point with that income, you don't have to over leverage. You can just basically take that road where you become financially free, and then everything else is just a bonus. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And now that you put it that way, I actually tend to do that in quicker than 5 to 7 years. I think I was over exaggerating the concept of retirement that you were saying. But
Yeah.
now that you say that, I plan to do that in less than 5 to 7 years, if I'm being honest with you.
And hopefully you do, brother. But the whole idea is just be patient. And don't over leverage like crazy. You're very smart, but a lot of smart people go bankrupt and they lose a lot of money, right? Because they over leverage too much. So just play the game the correct way. If you can get a job that makes you that much money, which by the way is an amazing job, you can actually get into it. The idea is you can use that money to just clear things up very finely. If you're 21 years old, you build up to 6 figures. That's awesome. Also, you're on the right path. Just don't over leverage. When I was your age, I was making around 50 to 100% every single year of my money. Right? I was doubling my money like crazy, and it got to a point where I didn't have enough money to actually double anymore because it was all just like illiquid a little bit. So I had to borrow money from credit cards, paying them 5% or whatever, like for the cash advance to basically put that money to work to make me more money, then pay them off and do the same thing over and over and over again. But the thing is, if anything fails, then you have all that debt still. If and a few years ago, like when I first started making, for example, over like over like a little over like $20,000 $30,000 a month, the idea was I started to say like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house in New York, $700,000. I'll rent here. Eventually I'll do this with a complex, all the same ideas like you have. That's why I'm so fond of you in a way. But the idea is when you start to over leverage, then the point is when things do go wrong, if it do go wrong, you're still stuck with all that stuff. But when I kind of looked inwards, I was like, okay, what do I want? I want to be a billionaire. So to be a billionaire, what do I have to do for myself personally? Well, the first step is financial freedom. Everything else is just a bonus. So acquire financial freedom first. That would be my advice. And then you work towards everything else in a way that doesn't put your financial freedom at risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I understand what you're trying to say.
That's all it is, man. If I make $500,000 a year, like in passive income, I wouldn't know what to do with it, like for as me as a person. Like I would just like I know what to do with it as an investor to make more money out of it. But what do I do with that much money? With $40,000 and I have a paid off home that I love, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. I have a great wife. I have a great, amazing car that I actually like a lot. Kids, whatever it is. From that part, it's like Warren Buffett lives in the same house, drives a 10-year-old car. Money has no use in that part, right? But the job that he does that he actually loves a lot can basically make him a lot of wealth. Same thing with what I do and potentially what you're gonna do. Does that make sense? But if you
Right.
live a $500,000 a year lifestyle, it's gonna be a problem. You know what I'm saying? You need to take in a lot of leverage to get there.
Well, I actually I have an uncle, and he makes more than $500,000 a year, which is why I say I was selling myself short. But anyway, what he does is, and again, I started at a very early age. I mean, I'm in middle school looking up how to make $1 million as a middle schooler. So I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, When I talk to a lot of people, I try to inform them like I don't just wake up one. I didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I want to do all this. Like all this stuff is years. And like for instance, with the senior living facility, that's 4 years in the work. With this, I honestly wanted to start a mortgage lending company, but then I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, I want to be different. Like I want to do something different. Cause that's what's gonna make me stand out. I want to do something different. And I noticed, and I'm gonna tell you how I came up with it. I was having a conversation with a girl, and she just left Cancun, and then I was like, oh, that's nice. Where you going next? And she was like, they're going to some spring that's all the way Greece, somewhere in Greece, something like that. That's all the way across the world. And I was like, dang, when you going? She was like, we gonna go there. We gonna go there in 2 years. And I was like, why so long? Basically, she was like, we just saving up the money because it's expensive to get over there and et cetera, et cetera. So that's what made me. Just that simple conversation took me all the way to this idea of a vacation lending rather than mortgage. You see what I'm saying?
You have a lot of ideas, man. Just like I did when I was 11 years old and 12 years old. You're talking to a version of you that's 3 years older, and is in a better spot than you are, and that was going to take a lot more risks than you're probably thinking about taking. But what happens is when you get to a point where you make a lot more money, it shows you who you really are. What I've become is a lot more conservative. I'm still going to be a billionaire, right? But I'm not going to put my family at risk while doing it. So there's limits to it. That's what I'm saying. If your uncle makes that much money, and it's funny, man. You're kind of like this. Where are you from?
I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah. So I'm Dominican, and my uncle is kind of like this. So it's a very funny story. Makes a lot of money also every single year, like maybe like in the millions, right? And he's taught me everything I know also. But the perspective is the guy lives in the same house he used to live. He has a nice car, all this stuff. But his lifestyle is not that. Like his business, something that he loves, he enjoys, and that's why he's able to make so much money. What I'm saying is, you're good. You just don't rush things and don't over leverage and be patient. That's all I'm saying. That's gonna be your biggest part. Whenever you start to get impatient, it's gonna come with a lot of debt and a lot of risk. And your mind and the way your mind works is basically you're good with plans, you're good with calculations, and you're good with basically estimating things. Okay, but sometimes your estimates might go wrong. And you got to make sure when you're wrong, you have a margin of safety. That way, you don't take a big hit.
Most definitely. And, I actually learned that at a little earlier age also about leverage. And what we like to call it is win to loss ratio, basically. That's what we like to call it. We like, how much are you risking? Is the risk worth it, long story short and everything. But with that being said, so far, with my plan, because I promise you, I try to plan everything out down to the T, with everything that I do. And so far, I'm 3 for 3 with everything. I'm 3 for 3 with everything that I projected, and it's happening.
You just want to make sure that when you go right, you go right, and when you go left,
Correct.
when things go wrong, it doesn't cost you everything. You don't want to bet the house every time. That's what I'm saying.
Right, and I thought that's exactly what I was doing with this situation. Like me only putting 5,000 towards it. I thought I don't have even. Let's play the what if game. Even if I lose all 5,000, I'm still not. That's not for me big risk. Like I'm not risking everything else that I have. You see what I'm saying? This is just something that basically this is the amount of money I want to put into this pot, this area. You see what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying, and I actually do appreciate you telling me that, though.
All right, brother. So I had a great calls with you, James. Thanks for the call. These calls, by the way, are free, and I would like to talk to you. And if it's not a one-time thing, you can call me anytime you actually want to. But I want to call you, call me in a few months. Let me know how things are going for you, okay? Again, be patient. And again, I make a lot of plans, but sometimes it's just action, and sometimes simplicity just wins the game. Okay?
Most definitely. And don't forget about me now.
No, I won't forget about you, bro. Just schedule a call, and I'll always take your calls. Okay, James? See you next time.
All right.
Have fun, man.
All right. Yep.
All right. Peace out. All right, guys, so that right there was James. And this guy reminds me a lot of myself. Like the 21-year-old version of me is completely different from a 24-year-old version of me. And that's what's so good about learning every single day, because you constantly keep changing and changing and changing and changing and changing, It's also, well, not changing, but more like improving and adding more and more and more onto this artwork, which is basically yourself in a way. The big problem here is probably going to be the over leveraging to try to make a lot of money. And when you do that, the big risk is basically every time you play, you basically bet the house. So you want to be very careful with this, okay? When you have a lot of plans, you can have the best plan ever, but it doesn't always turn out the way you turn out. I'm pretty sure Warren Buffett invested into airlines. He had the best plan ever, but things went left also, right? You never know exactly what's going to happen. So you want to make sure first, financial freedom for yourself, and then everything that comes in next, you'll be good to go. I never get it. People tell me all the time, tell me I need 100K, 500K for like passive income to be actually free. Like, that doesn't make sense, you know? Like, if you have a paid off home, you have everything you want, and it's all paid off, you don't really need that much money whatsoever. Unless you want to be building, for example, like Mayweather or Canelo Alvarez, anything like that. But beyond that, you can have a pretty decent lifestyle with like very high or low 5 figures, honestly. And then all the extra money, like for me, right? I make a lot of money, yes, but the whole goal is to use that money to then go ahead and create a business and basically in the end, like donate all that money to charity, you know? But for me as a person, I don't really need more than $48,000 a year to be okay. My house is paid off, everything's paid off, I'm good to go. That's the idea. But again, very smart kid. James, well, not kid anymore. The guy's a grown man, you know, 21 years old. Just be patient. And don't think you're too smart not to lose. That's the whole idea there. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. If you want to join me in my next call, well, link down below. Join me. All calls are free. And I'll call you guys as soon as possible. On top, I also subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. On top, I also destroy the like button. And if you want to DM me, well, join me on Instagram, Bryson, or join me on my other 2 channels, also linked down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you watch another video, here's another video right here. Click my face right here. See you guys tomorrow. And as always, peace.